Good evening, everyone. This is Atmospheric Alex here, back with another tropical weather outlook and discussion for Tropical Storm Erin, currently located off to the west of the Cabo Verde Islands. And speaking of that, it did do quite the number on those islands the other day, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, where they were receiving 6-inch per hour rainfall rates in an area that has a desert-like climate. So some of the roads were flowing like rivers. It was really dangerous out there. There was significant flooding across the board, even though this was a tropical disturbance. So again, it goes to show you that anything tropical that's heading your way, you need to take it seriously just in case it does something like that. So now we're going to take a look at Tropical Storm Erin here on satellite imagery. This is your infrared, so stuff you cannot really see with the naked eye. So this will actually help us see what was going on overnight as well. This is moving kind of fast to show you the progression, but you can see Erin lost a lot of deep convection and thunderstorms this morning. You see its exposed eye right there as it moves due west, but as of late we have been seeing more thunderstorm activity to the south of your eye there, your center of circulation, and one might think that potentially here in the next couple hours we may see a southwesterly jog because of this that starts to occur on Erin. Maybe a little more to the west than that, but still, we gotta watch out for that. Could our center relocate? It's right here. It could go down there in the deeper convection. And with all of this aside, let's take a look at Tropical Storm Erin's future cone here on the National Hurricane Center. You can see pretty well defined here. We have a tropical storm currently ongoing. This is anticipated to reach hurricane status, I believe, going into Thursday of this week. And then maybe even major hurricane status going into Sunday. This is really going to be something to watch out for. Now, we're talking portions of the northern Lesser Antilles are actually in the cone of uncertainty right here. So this is why we really need to closely monitor the situation. And if this does wind up trending further south, it will be an all hands on deck situation for areas in here, and especially even out for the Bahamas at the edge of your screen there. But I am more concerned about Bermuda. We could see a trend like this, and Bermuda could get directly impacted by a major Category 3, potentially even a Category 4 hurricane. Definitely not what you want to hear. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at our sea surface temperatures as it stands. Erin is located, I'd say, roughly in this area right here, right where we have sea surface temperatures getting into the low 80s here. It is going to continue to track off in this general direction here, where it is going to get in a very favorable environment, especially up here near Bermuda, where we do have sea surface temperatures in the mid to almost upper 80s up there that will be supportive of rapid to explosive intensification up there. That's something we really need to watch out for, and this will continue to get a lot more intense as it moves off to the northwest. All right, and with that being said, we're going to speed things up a bit because we have a lot of data to go over in this video, believe it or not. We're going to start off with our European ensemble here, and you can see where your low pressure system is. It is anticipated, to track really close to the Lesser Antilles here. We've been talking about this over the past few days, how if we do see any southern shifts, this is going to be a big situation here, and it indeed could be. But we could be talking about tropical storm force winds going on in some of those islands there. So if you do live there, please stay weather aware. Look at this here. We are talking about this going on into Sunday and Monday, where we do have a couple of ensemble members here, like this one showing potential of a Category 5 hurricane. This is not a forecast, but the environment out here really does support something that extreme, something we really got to watch. It reminds me of Lee from 2023, if you remember that storm, but maybe a little further west this go around. But you can see Turks and Caicos, the Bahamas, you really need to watch out. A lot of these members here take it right into your general vicinity as a Category 4 hurricane. You went through Dorian, you remember what that was like. This will be nothing like that, obviously, but your winds are going to be very intense, potentially, if it tracks this far south. Now, as we go further on off to the northwest, Bermuda is roughly in this area here, so you can see a lot of your lower level centers are actually going off to your west here, so that is some very good news. A lot of your members staying west of Bermuda. That could easily change, though. Going into Atlantic Canada, actually, before we do that, look at the coastline of North Carolina, the Outer Banks. We do have a few members still shoving it right into your area, and that would be very significant. Northeast looks a bit more clear this run, still a couple of outliers, but as we head into Atlantic Canada, you can see more significant impacts as well. Now for your operational European model run here, you can see where it's starting a little bit further south than our last video, if you remember that. We see our system struggling like crazy due to dry air. We'll get into that in a minute, and still struggling, but look at this here. It really explodes. Look at that as we go into Tuesday, Wednesday. This is a high-end Category 4 hurricane just off the coast of Bermuda. Very serious situation here. So if you folks in Bermuda, I'm telling you what, you need to get your hurricane plans prepared. This continues on off to the west of Bermuda, strengthening even further. Again, the ceiling is extremely high with this storm. Atlantic Canada, Newfoundland here, that would be quite a devastating blow. Let's really hope that does not happen. And then we have to watch out for stuff later on down the road. Your wind shear on Erin here as it goes, it's going to be fairly light, some intermittent bursts of around 20 knots. That could slightly disrupt our center at times as this continues off to our west, but you can definitely see we have a bit of a tropical upper level trough that's moving on through, and that could disrupt things a little bit, but as we go on through past that, definitely are talking about low wind shear. All of this in your red colors, this is now outflow to your storm, and this is in a very volatile environment. You heard me say that during tornado season. It applies for tropical weather season as well. And yeah, no surprise, gets a little more interaction with, other low pressure systems. And just the fact that's going north gets more baroclinic in nature as it does its transition into, well, Canada. Your dry air is going to be a major issue with this storm, and I'm using a different parameter to show it a lot better since PWatt doesn't describe it too well. This is your relative humidity from your mid-levels to upper levels, basically. Very important. Over the next few days, it tries to stay in a relative moisture pocket, but a lot of dry air on your backside is trying to wrap on through. So I would not be shocked if Erin does not get to a hurricane, for a while. And this just continues. And then look at this. On your northwestern side, you have a lot of dry air infiltration. So it starts off from your southeast side and transitions to your northwest side. If it is constant enough, there's a chance that Erin's ceiling could be significantly limited, and this could blast a lot further off to the west, kind of like this, but not a forecast as of now, but certainly something we need to watch. But a weaker system won't feel your high pressure ridge as much, and yeah, this gets battered by dry air, again, until Tuesday and Wednesday next week, and then is cocooned in its moisture pocket. Very significant there. Now, how about your GFS ensemble? We're going to take a look at this here. It's really, bearish, I'd say, on development. You get a few of your members forming north of the Lesser Antilles, but yeah, only a tropical storm, and this is on Sunday. That's astonishing, right? And then this continues off here. This is actually an outlier. This is really far off to the east here, but you still have a very large model spread. Could be anywhere from here all the way back. Actually, let's go further, all the way to here. This is over 2,000 miles of a difference here. So certainly we have a lot to figure out going into next week, no doubt about that. And this continues on through Atlantic Canada. My goodness, you might need to start preparing a little bit just in case. And then, of course, this all goes outwards here, and then that's all said and done. Now, quickly moving on with your GFS model, your precipitation here, you can see how far south your system gets. This is probably around 16 degrees north in latitude, and this is quite quite significant, because if it goes any further south than this, it could bring impacts to the Lesser Antilles. But this is a bit of an outlier run here. It's starting to pull to the north. You want to know why? We have a gigantic high pressure system out here and another high pressure system, actually, I'd say right up within here. And this is why you get this thing ripping out to sea like this. It kind of splits the difference in between the two highs and goes up there and doesn't bother anybody at all. And this is actually what we would call a fish spinner, right? Fish spinner, fish spinner, fish spinner. It gets a little bit difficult to say 3 times fast. But anyways, this does end up going south of Atlantic Canada, south of Newfoundland there, and doesn't bother anyone. Again, this is kind of an outlier run. I think it'll be a little further to your west than this. Now for your European AI ensemble model here, look at this. It actually develops it quite late and a lot of members right over the Lesser Antilles. This is definitely quite serious here. This continues moving on off to your west, a few of those members really far south. And then here you go, you have your high pressure out here, high pressure out here. What happens in between the two is you get this pathway least resistance and it goes out to sea. That is not a forecast, obviously, but something to watch. And then you can see 2 camps here developing on your AI model. You see camp 1 right within here and camp 2 up within here. And one of these camps is going to take it really close to the east coast here. This doesn't feel your high pressure, or this doesn't feel your weakness as much, and plows right into your North Carolina coast. And that's quite a few members if you ask me. Then the rest of them do go out to sea. And then please, later on down the road, we need to watch the rest of the Atlantic here. You know, going into the Caribbean, north of the Caribbean, the Gulf, stuff could really ramp up here as we're about to see a pretty big pulse of rising air travel across the Atlantic. So now your operational AI model takes it dangerously close to your Lesser Antilles. Again, tropical storm force conditions are possible. Turks and Caicos could also see tropical storm force winds, and this does show it a lot further east than some of your previous runs here. If you see run-to-run differences, it's a lot further to the east, but that is, again, not set in stone, not a forecast as blast out to sea, but that is something I guess we're going to have to watch for there. And now how about your hurricane models here? I actually haven't seen this at all, so this is going to be very interesting. This is your 18Z run, and you can see it initializing very far south, around 16.3 degrees north in latitude. So already we are talking about a decently far southerly system. That is going to matter with your track. It gets absolutely battered by dry air in the short term, and my goodness, look at this here. This right here is barely even a tropical storm come Thursday. Very far south. We're almost dipping into your 15-degree north latitude range, but we are seeing significant weakening due to dry air and even weak wind shear as well that could play a role. As this continues on through, we see a system gain some latitude here and really intensify going into Saturday and Sunday, and you can see your Lesser Antilles are right here. You can see some strong thunderstorms making it onshore some of these islands that we're going to have to watch for. But this finally becomes a hurricane by Sunday. It's about time. And then here you go, major hurricane, category 3 by Sunday evening. Stuff is going to rapidly intensify, I think, around this time frame. How about your HAVS-B model here? Same song and dance, roughly. You can see dry air really weakening it, actually to a tropical depression by the time we get to Thursday evening. That is incredible stuff. And this goes well to the north. What on earth is that? All right, so this model is completely wrong. We're moving on. Don't trust the HAVS-B. It is going to be completely wrong in this instance. I don't know how another tropical storm would form. That was the weirdest model interaction I have ever seen in my entire life, and that says a lot. We're going to take a look at your HWRF model now. Hopefully this is more accurate, and it doesn't go to 18Z. This is going to be your last model run, and it intensifies it a little too quickly, but if your dry air doesn't get into it, look at this here, category 4 hurricane possibly as we go into Saturday and Sunday. This is something, again, that could be watched closely. And then your HMOD model here, same song and dance. It gets rid of your dry air really quickly and advances us off to the west at a pretty quick rate here. Major hurricane, possibly category 3, category 4 by Sunday. We have a bit of a consensus here, right? And with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning into today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. kind of some crazy model runs there towards the end, and that goes to show you that we do not have a good handle on Erin at all, and there's going to be a lot of model errors over the next few days, perhaps even unrealistic ones as well, so even the Hurricane models are acting a bit drunk here. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to my little corner of the weather community, share it with some friends and family on social media, leave a comment in the section below. If you did like this video, if you did find it very interesting and informative to watch. And with that said, stay very tropical weather aware, especially Bermuda. I just cannot stop circling your area. Bermuda, please, please get your hurricane plans prepared immediately, because this is starting to trend more north again. All right, have a wonderful night, everyone.